I'll filter in the first 5 to 10 minutes. Hi, my name is Melissa Grizzle. I'm the Manager of Operations for ITEN, and welcome to Second Thursday. And tonight we have a great presentation from our three esteemed presenters that I will introduce momentarily. Mainly talent focused. That's one of the main issues that people come to ITEN for, and trying to figure out the best way to add to their team and the timing around that. And Tim, I'm talking.
I know that. I had to finish an amusing anecdote with James.
So they're going to share their insights and their experiences here in a few minutes. Before that, I want to just say one brief thing. If there's any tech startups in the room, this is that time of year when we reach out to you and ask for your data to put together our fabulous tech startup report that comes out every February. So please be answering that email, or I'll just come and camp out on your front lawn until I get it. So that people want that. So just answer the email, and then you can be a part of the data that gets put into this, and hopefully make our top 10 or fast 10 list for 2015. So that is my shameless plug for data. And I will introduce our presenters this evening. Again, Andrew Mayhall, the founder of Evtron, and the CEO of Evtron, Dave Sellers. They're going to talk about their experience in deciding when to bring Dave into the fold, and sort of both perspectives of the founder and the CEO that came on board. And then Jane Bansell is one of our entrepreneurs in residence with ITEN, and she will focus on using a variety of outside people to do different kinds. If you don't want to bring somebody in as a full-time CEO, how best to decide what tasks to get outside help on, and the timing of that, and the structures in which you can do that, and how to find those people. So that's what you came here to hear about. So I will
What is EIR?
Entrepreneur in Residence. So they're serial entrepreneurs that work closely with our companies. We have 5 of them that we pay to work with our companies. So anyway, I will let them take it away and try to go find batteries for the remote. Thanks.
We've been talking about the, I'm going to speak up, aren't I? Because I'm not quite.
Microphone. Microphone.
We can get it to work.
Okay. So just yell.
I'm yelling.
Oh, yeah.
Keep working.
We've kind of been kicking around this topic for a long time, but finally decided to open it up for discussion in a broader sense. With,
Hello? Sorry, I didn't really frighten you from behind.
no, that's okay.
All right, go work.
So I don't know if you heard me already, but this is
Talk right into it.
way up. All right. So we've been talking about this topic for a long time. Is that better?
That's better.
And thought we should open up this to discussion. So tonight we're going to talk about, actually, I usually don't say so much as a rule, but we're going to talk about how we can help founders to be successful, a little bit more successful than they are. So there are 2 major components of success, and they are focus and efficiency. And we believe that you can meet these by using utility players. So I'm going to hand off to Dave. He's going to talk, to Andrew, and he's going to talk to us about his experience. But before I do that, to kind of put this in perspective, I wanted to talk about the comparison between professional sports teams and startups. Both of them have small players, the on-team players, and then the startup. They're handpicked, and they have a lot of talent and a lot of potential. So founders are like general managers in the sense that they're responsible for everything. Owners look to their general managers to run the operations. Founders have to answer to investors. So that's where our utility player idea comes in. If you think how startups are different from professional sports teams, it's basically the bench. A sports team has a deep bench with a lot of coaches, and they have utility players that can help in any position when the team's in trouble. Startups don't have that. And so we're here to talk about how they can get to that place, get the resources that they need, and be more successful in a cost-efficient manner. You know,
Probably not. All right. Is this me? I think so.
One more.
One more?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, guys. Well, thank you for having me. I should say that first. I'm Andrew. Again, I'm the founder of Evtron. First, probably give you guys some background. I started Evtron when I was 18 years old, right out of college. I attended SIUE over in Edmondsville, Illinois. You know, a young student, you know, always was full of energy, wanted to be a part of, you know, a big team, wanted to work on something great. I started just kind of tinkering on my own and started developing some really interesting technology. So eventually I decided, hey, this is probably what I want to do for the rest of my life. There was a lot of, you know, turbulence, if you will, in my education plan. So I decided that I would leave school and go and pursue my dream. So, you know, that's kind of the general background of me and who I am. I'm a tech guy. I love technology. I love inventing, and I love tinkering around with things. So it was kind of natural for me to, you know, continue developing my technology. But as I started moving on, if you will, to develop this further and further, I realized that there was a lot of things that I just didn't know. You know, just really about building a business. You know, I had this idea, you know, young, you know, founders, they see other people go off and do great things, build cool companies, work on really neat stuff. And you try and learn as much as you can, but there's still a lot of stuff that I didn't know. And you know, being young, I was a little naive, and I figured, hey, I'm kind of invincible. You know, I can get through this. I can figure this out. I remember, gosh, 4 years ago, meeting Jim for the first time. You know, actually seeking help from ITEN. You know, stating a lot of these issues. You know, and Jim, you know, said this is what ITEN's for. You know, is to help you know, companies get off the ground and provide them with resources, you know, to build their companies and grow their technology. So, you know, as I continued progressing through this, I started to realize exactly what I didn't know, and I started to actually fear this. And I think that that's probably the most powerful thing I can say, is for any founder, especially a young founder, to fear what they don't know. Because what they don't know, it can kill your company. And it's very hard out there. You know, especially in a startup, you're very young, and there's a lot of things that can tip you over the edge and close you down. But there's, you know, only a couple ways to do things right to actually have that success. So, you know, when I started kind of feeling these pressure points, these pain points, if you will, I realized that I needed to surround myself with people that had complementary skill sets to me. Got it working? Cool. I don't. Okay. So complementary skill sets, and that's really, really important. You know, there's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of great people that you know, have taken a company and grown it. That have taken a struggling technology and helped develop it into a well-rounded product and turn that into a functioning business. And you know, this was something that I was really struggling with. And you know, firsthand, I experienced you know, finding or trying to surround myself with people that were complementary to me. And it actually was very difficult to say the least. Again, there's a lot of people out there that want to help, and they truly do want to help. But that leads me to kind of the second point. There's two types of people in business. There's those that add value and those that extract value. And it's actually almost impossible to figure out between the two when you just meet someone. And that can be really scary, especially for a founder, and with me being so young. I didn't know, again, what I didn't know, and I was fearful of that. And so about 2 years into Evtron, I actually met Dave. And Dave was very interesting. He was actually very different than about everyone else that I really met. Because the first meeting that I had with him, he challenged me a lot. And he said, I don't think you actually understand what's going on. I don't get it. Maybe you need to explain it a little better, which was actually really good for me. Being a gifted young adult, there wasn't a whole lot that was actually challenging for me on the technical sense. And Dave, not being a technical guy, was finding these pain points and pointing them out, but not pointing them out saying, you didn't know what you were doing. He was just saying, hey, I don't get this. Can you explain this in a better fashion? And that kind of was what kickstarted the relationship. And Dave and I actually have this really unique relationship between us. Dave, he functions as the CEO, but there is no one man in the company that makes the decision for the company. It's a dynamic group. We talk together, we problem solve, kind of like a yin and a yang. He comes at a problem with a different angle. He's got a lot of experience. He never tells me, hey, this is how we have to do something. He always comes at this problem saying, hey, what if we try it like this? What if we look at it like this in this light? And I will always counter, typically. And sometimes we can have some heated arguments from time to time. But what we end up basically resulting out of these arguments is a unique way forward that is, I guess, organic, if you will, and has a very powerful effect towards a team. Because that's what a startup is. You have to be a really close-knit team. And again, firsthand, I experienced having an individual on my team that was more of an extractor than an adder. And it almost killed us. And it was very hard for me to realize these facts. But again, after experiencing a working relationship with someone that can add value, it helped me understand these issues. And again, I can't speak for Dave, but I do know that Dave has probably sacrificed more for Evtron than any other company he's ever run before. And that actually means a whole lot to a founder. Because when you start a company, this is your baby. You want to see it grow, you want to see it blossom. And everything that you're trying to do is to get it to that launch point. And with Dave, he saw this and he saw the value in what we're trying to do. And again, he still comes in every day, trying to figure out how can we solve the next problem on our list and how can we move this company forward. And that's a really comforting experience for especially a founder. With me being young, 18 years old when I started Evtron, in more of a technical mindset, I was weary of trying to ask for help. I didn't know how to ask for help, mainly because I was afraid. I was afraid that if someone came in, such as Dave, and was now the CEO, he was going to be the guy making the decisions. He was going to be the guy driving the company forward. And that's kind of a really scary thought for a founder. If you don't want to let go, again, because this is your baby. And you don't want someone to tell you how to live your life. That's kind of the entire reason why you make a startup in the first place. Is you want to go and do something that no one else has ever done before. And so, again, another message that I want to, send out to younger founders, and just founders in general, is it's okay to ask for help. And when you find someone such as, Dave, who is a real adder to the company and can help grow this company, and wants to see the company be successful, it's going to be a really natural transition. It took several months for us to make that transition, but it made sense. And I was actually really comfortable with it. I remember the night that I called Dave, in my car, and I said, hey Dave, I've been thinking about a lot of things, and I really think that it's time that you be the public CEO of this company. You take over, and you're the face of Evtron, and you start, taking on those responsibilities and helping me. Dave is much more than just a mentor to me. I mean, he is the guy that's helping me build Evtron into what I want it to be. And again, it's very hard for founders to find those people. ITEN is a great organization to help connect those, individuals to people. But again, you have to be weary of people that, either want to extract value from the company or just want to be along for the ride. Because again, as a startup, you can't have any dead weight, and you can't have people wanting to pull value out of your company. Because that will eventually kill you. And that's it. You get one shot. And if you don't do it right, that's it. That's over. So I think that, Dave, can kind of take it from here and kind of express what he's done to help me so far. I don't know how we want to continue moving forward on this.
Once the slide, quick question, where'd you meet?
We actually met through an individual who I had in my company. Dave was attending the ITEN events, again, helping mentoring other startups. The one individual, asked Dave to go out for coffee one day to basically tell what we're working on over at Evtron. And Dave was, kind of like, I don't know, I don't really want to do it because I don't really get that sort of stuff. Eventually, he finally took the meeting, and I was able to go along with him and start convincing, slowly convincing him, if you will, that what we had was really unique and novel. What was it, about 3 meetings in, you finally got the joke, and said, hey, this is interesting. I may be able to help, but I'm not going to commit to anything at this point. So just, let me look at it. And I think that that's really kind of what separates an adder from an extractor. It's the ability to say, hey, wait a second, can I actually really provide value in this company? Because again, a lot of startups, are going to fail, and some of them will be mildly successful, but only a few of them will be wildly successful. And there's a lot of people that just want to grab as many as they can, and hope for the best. And that hurts. It really does. And especially, trying to go through this. I experienced this firsthand. And it was difficult. But, thankfully, I had another person there that says, hey, we can figure this out. We can figure out how to get over these hurdles as a team. And that's the most important part, as a team. It's not just a utility player that comes in and makes decisions. It is a teammate. It is someone who's got your back no matter what. Go ahead.
How do you see the difference between having a partner, the CTO, the manager, and like the classic team of startup, comparing to the relationship of one founder and external? I don't know what the business relationship, but the CEO.
Yeah, so, you have the founding team sometimes, and, the founding teams, a lot of times, will have differences. And as they continue to grow, you see, founders want to actually split apart because they can't resolve their differences. Again, it's really important for founders to find people that they work well with. Again, complementary skill sets. It's important. With Dave, we kind of found that naturally. Dave and I, we kind of found, where we fit into the puzzle. I'm the technical guy. He's the business guy. What's that?
Are you partners today, or is the employee of the company?
He's an employee of the company, but he is compensated, as a partner would be. He's not a founding partner of the company. But again, when a founder finds someone that they really work well with, do whatever you can to keep them on board, whatever it is. Because again, you are more likely to fail without their help than you are with their help. If that means you have to give up a little more of your share, a little more piece of your pie to keep them on board, do it. And I know that Dave and I have had those very conversations. You know, and again, it's important though for a founder to understand that you know, the line between life and death in a startup is microscopically thin. And you know, the slightest wrong turn can be If you want to go ahead.
Thank you. So when Jane called and asked us to participate in this, I really thought it was more focused on Andrew's experience because he's the founder and the young guy. And then she said, well, I want you to also at least speak to why you're participating in this role with the company. Not literally about the business itself, which we could tell you about if anybody's interested afterwards. But my background was taking business technology companies that weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing financially and relaunching them in some other different way that made them money. Whether that be through channel partners that they didn't have, whether that be through better pricing and marketing schemes, whatever. But when I stopped doing the third one and moved on, as they say, and ran into him and this opportunity, it was really intriguing to me because for the first time I could get in on something literally pretty much day one. Now granted, he had been working on the prototypes of the invention and the technology, but he didn't have a business and he didn't have a real model to take it to market. And I've told him this before to his face, you know, he's a brilliant guy, but unless you've got something people want, it doesn't matter how smart you think it is. And I run into a lot of entrepreneurs, and I learned this the hard way too many years ago, where just because you think it's great, doesn't mean everybody else thinks it's going to be great. And so really that was one of the first conversations we had when he said I was challenging him. In my background, my mentor, who's probably 75 years old, but wildly successful on the East Coast, always used to say to my face, I'd say, nah, nah, nah. And he'd say, so what? So what? And I would say that to him at the lunches, and he'd say, I've got the greatest thing, blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, so what? And he'd just freeze, because he didn't know what that meant. To him it meant he needed to explain the technology more, another layer of how he's going to do this. Like I said, I don't know how you're going to do it. I want to know what you're going to do with it. What is the business case here that you can take this to market? And so I don't know, I thought it was an interesting time for me in my life and career to do something completely different, which was build a business from basically the ground up. And so the attraction to me was smart guy, lots of energy, ability to lift heavy things, all the stuff I can't do anymore. And take something and say, okay, how are we going to go from A to F? And then we're going to go from G to L and really get involved from day one. And so I really took on and told him, I made him two promises when we kind of got together. I said, I will get you $1 million and I will stick with you until the product works. Whatever that takes. And as we've all learned, it's taken a lot longer than we thought it would. And for those of you who have ever met my wife, she's probably got a lot of papers in the kitchen ready for people to sign, because she's, what in the world are you doing? But that's okay. It's been a great ride for me, and I've learned a tremendous amount, which I can't stress enough. He thinks he's learned a lot. I've learned a lot in the process as well. And that's why I keep coming in and kicking the tires with this kid every day, is I really want to make this work for him and the other guys that founded the company that are, you know, still involved. So I got involved with, as Jim's very, very fond of, you know, seed money and angel money. I mean, I knew what it was, but when I was getting money to acquire businesses. So that's a whole different shtick and a whole different group of people and a whole different business case that you go through to say, hey, can I have $15 million to acquire my competitors so that we can go grow the market faster? So those kind of conversations. And these were, hey, does anybody want to put $50,000 into an idea I have? Or actually, it's not my idea, it's his idea. And then they go meet him and say, I don't know. Yes, sir.
For those of us who don't know Evtron very well, what is the product, what is the business?
You bet. In a quick nutshell, what Andrew has developed is a novel concept of how to cool the inside of a computer server. Okay? So if you think of a computer, it gets hot very fast. The more stuff you put in it, the more likely it is to overload. He went against the grain and said, I'm going to come up with a way to jam tons of stuff inside that computer, whatever it is. hard drives, flash drives, CPUs, GPUs, doesn't matter. And we're going to encapsulate them in this thermodynamic formula that's got a three-dimensional case to it. So you actually physically put the components inside, and then you stack them vertically from the front of the server to the rear of the server, turn a little fan on, and instead of just pushing air into a server and hoping everything works, his invention that we've got patents filed for creates turbulent current. And for those of you who are a little bit more engineering smart than I was, because this is why I took 3 lunches instead of 2, that's a good thing. Because if you just push the warm air, it really doesn't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. You get rid of the hot air, how am I doing here? You get rid of the hot air
Doing all right.
by colliding the molecules together in a very fast manner, i.e. a tornadic event. And so once he kind of got that through my thick head, I was like, and you can file a patent on that, couldn't you? And he's like, yeah, if I get some money. And so
I already had one. I already had one.
and one file, we've since filed two others. But that's kind of the business, and we've learned a lot in that process, and I will fall on the sword. I let him down a product play for a while, and we learned the hard way, and we weren't ready for that. And I'll give some of those of you who've run businesses in the room, you know, imagine you have a new widget, and you start calling on MasterCard, InBev, and Monsanto. Exactly, right? But if you think it's that great,
Once, if you're lucky.
yeah, you get one meeting and then you're done. Because the first question is, how many of these have you sold? Right? So we backed off of that, and now we've got, without violating any NDAs, we've got a lot of different conversations going about larger businesses taking the invention and either packaging it up with our architecture or packaging it up with their architecture. And the last 2 businesses I've run 3, this will be the 4th, my market strategy was to find people who had the sales teams, the procurement people, the accounting people, and leverage the heck out of it. Mainly because I didn't want to try to build 500 offices around the globe with 3,000 people that you constantly have to put rules in place to keep them to where you can have an engine that runs. So we've really pivoted in the last 6 months, 8 months, to where we're really looking to take the technology in with others as opposed to being a product shop itself. And kind of the last part of that is we've now got different versions of the actual application where we can go after the small, medium business customers, not the Monsantos and enterprises to start. And they can come to the web, this isn't available yet, but first quarter, where they can come to the web and order a small server that's very efficient, very dense. And the big news is they don't have to put it in a data center. Because of the invention, it can sit on the floor, it can sit in a closet, it can sit up on a shelf, doesn't require cool air. So you can imagine going into a real data center and saying either you don't have to have the next expansion of the room, you can just put it anywhere, or you can take your temperature from 72 degrees to 88 degrees, 90 degrees, if you're using this technology. And that's millions and millions and millions of dollars of savings for those huge data centers. So that's the business, probably a little bit more than a nutshell.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you for asking. So anyway, I just thought it was a unique opportunity for me to add to my skill set as well. I think this comes across as, you know, just from a topic, well, the CEO is going to teach the young entrepreneur everything they need to know. And that's certainly not been my approach, as I think you heard him say. It's I want to learn from you, I want to learn from doing things I haven't done before, and so it's just been a really good fit for, I think, both of us. And come February 1, knock on wood, we'll have our product available for the market. So, any questions at this point, or you want to turn it back to Jane? Yes, ma'am.
Can you apply this